This rather amusing video of an attempted model for how Q-Northropy took off for flight was actually the prevailing theory among paleontologists for many years. They had mistakenly modeled the pterosaur's liftoff mechanics after birds, who either run or hop into the air to get the lift for flight. It was not until Mark Whitten and Mike Bibb proposed a quadrupedral launch that this theory changed. The doctors believed that instead of the bird, we should look to the bat for a liftoff mechanic that could launch a massive creature like the pterosaur into the air. Unlike the bird, who runs or hops into the air using only its hind limbs to get its initial velocity, the bat uses a push-up/vault maneuver using both its hind limbs and, more importantly, its forelimbs to throw itself into the air. This new theory of flight had several key advantages over the old theory. Unlike the bird-based theory, there was no need for strong headwinds, hills to run down, or cliffs to jump off of for the pterosaur to take flight. It also had the advantage of being capable of explaining how a creature like the Q-Northropy, who weighed 200 to 250 kilograms by most estimates, could take off. The bird-based theory had said that the creature, with an 11-meter wingspan, the size of a giraffe when standing, could only weigh 70 kilograms. For reference, that woman in the picture standing beside the Q-Northropy and the giraffe, she probably weighs a little under 70 kilograms herself. Like all new theories, the pterosaur's quadrupedral launch has been met with many questions. Some people have noted that in the video rendition of the pterosaur model taking flight, the poor creature looks like it should not be gracefully taking off into the heavens as it's shown doing, but instead it should, by all rights, be face-planting into the dirt. Others have questioned if the pterosaur could actually place enough force with its push-up launch to give it enough height that it might actually make its first flap before it comes crashing back to the ground. There are even some that wonder if the Wagner effect might complicate the pterosaur's crucial first flap, sabotaging its attempt to launch. To answer these questions, a convincing and accurate model is necessary. While computer simulations like those shown earlier can be very accurate, they have issues on the convincing front. They are highly dependent on what variables the modeler chooses to take into consideration, and there is no quick and easy way for an observer to check that they are done well, unlike with a physical model where it either works or it doesn't. Furthermore, in order to accurately model the many different takeoff conditions the pterosaur might have undergone, it would require a huge number of very complex models, taking large amounts of time and leaving a lot of room for error. Most current physical models are also not up to the task of quadrupedal launch. Due to the nature of what they normally study, most physical models are rigid and do not possess the moving parts necessary for launching from a standstill. And while observing bats to get an idea of how quadrupedal launch might work is all well and good, becoming too reliant on parallels between a modern animal and the extinct pterosaur could easily lead to blind spots and assumptions like those made with the original theory of pterosaur launch.
What we propose is this: a robotic, dynamic system capable of simulating, at the very least, quadrupedal launch of Q-Northropy. Given the pace of advancement in material science, miniaturization of actuators, and advancement of the controls needed for complicated maneuvers, the time is ripe for robotic modeling of living systems. For example, modern actuators can be used such that they approximate the response of living muscle tissue. Research into the area of actuators designed precisely for this purpose is quite promising. Of course, there are concerns. How will the device be light enough to fly, or even to get off the ground? Here, composites are our friends. With high strength-to-weight ratios, these novel materials are the best thing we have for mimicking the capabilities of hollow bones, like those found in most flying animals. With the great number of degrees of freedom included in the joints of the wing, how will you handle the complexity of the system? Here, some assumptions would probably have to be made. Perhaps the finger could be modeled as more or less one long rod. This reduces the computations required, as well as the number of actuators needed, and therefore, weight. How can you hope to even get close to emulating nature? Luckily, we already have some experience with this. Previously, I've worked on the design, manufacture, and testing of a biologically inspired ornithopter. While not as large-scale as Q-Northropy, the basic concepts remain the same. Design to match nature as much as possible, reduce complexity where you can without sacrificing performance, and keep it light. The members of the team, over the past semester, have also studied the biomechanics of flight, ranging from birds, to bats, to insects, to pterosaurs. The team's knowledge and research of animal flight, coupled with specialization in robotics, mechatronics, dynamics, and controls, puts us in a unique position to create a system that fills a gap in existing knowledge.